Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and really appreciate you finding time to click on this link. So today I'm going to handle a very interesting project, the Enterprise Networking Project 8. Today we're going to learn how to configure voice over IP or telephone service with dial peering. So this is a very interesting project, and it's our project 8. Remember, we've covered project 1 all the way to the 7th enterprise networking project, and suppose you've not accessed the classes or the project, I will leave a link on the description part of the video or the first comment. Check on the first comment on the description part of the video. You'll find the links, and start from project 1 coming to 7th enterprise networking project, then finally come and watch project 8. Another way of accessing the classes, you can just go to our channel, Gurutech Networking Project, training, Gurutech Networking Training. Then under playlists, you'll find a playlist with the name Enterprise Networking Project or Cisco Packet Tracer Project. Here we've covered a lot of projects. As you can see here, we started from a very simple networking project, and the complexity was increasing as we moved on. Okay. So as you can see, these are all projects that we've covered, and they can really help you if you follow them very keenly and you are focused. Okay, so without wasting time, let's go back and start on the enterprise networking project 8. Another thing that I want to say, if you need to access these files, let's say the PDF that I'm going to read, or later when I shall have completed this packet tracer file, if you need to access them or you need them, then you will have to join our channel. We only provide resources to members only, channel members. You have to join our channel. Yes, the join button, you just click on the join button, and you choose the pack that you're willing to join through. Okay, alright, so without further ado, let's begin our project. So this is a very interesting project, as I have said earlier, and I will just open the PDF and start reading the case study. So here's the PDF, Enterprise Networking Project 8, which I will be called IP Telephony and Dial Peering Networking Project. So there is a company, Turtle Consultancy Limited, specialized in delivering IT infrastructure solution to medium-sized organizations worldwide. With the expansion of the company, a newly acquired branch needs a network. Your manager is faced with the demands of business and plethora of technology challenges. You've been recently hired as a network engineer and assigned the task of designing and implementing a voice over IP network that is based on the requirements and specifications outlined by the manager. Each group has been assigned the task of designing and implementing a network infrastructure for the Turtle Consultancy Limited by Internetworking 3 department here as follows. But here we have 4 departments, no problem. We have finance department. We have 20 phones plus 20 PC and 1 printer. HR department the same, sales department the same, and ICT department the same. Then we've been told that all desktops have an associated telephone set. In bracket, each PC is connecting directly to a phone, not a switch. Very interesting. Meaning here, a phone will be connecting to a switch, then a PC connecting to a phone. Okay. The network consists of 4 servers located at the server site and is fully configured for the operations. All the servers are shared between all users. So we have the 4 servers here: HTTP, email, DNS, and Dhcp. Alright, so let's go proceed. Okay, so on page 2 we have the requirements. The IT manager emphasized scalability and availability and hence you are required to provide a complete network infrastructure design implementation. Total Consultancy Limited will be using the following IP addresses: this for data, this for voice, and this between the routers. Okay, now the requirement number 1, design. Design a network system to meet the specifications above. Use Packet Tracer software to design your network. Routers. Requirement number 2, each department is to have a voice over IP enabled router with server-side LAN attached to the ICT department router. Okay, so remember we have 4 departments, and each department is supposed to have a router, and server-side LAN is attached to ICT router. Okay, meaning ICT router will be attaching 2 LANs, the ICT department LAN and server-side LAN. Okay, then you are being advised to use 2811 router, which is a voice over IP enabled router. Okay, so switches. Number 3, each department has an access layer switch. Not use 2960 switch, right? Okay, connections. Use serial connections between a router and a router, then step through cable between the router to switch to hosts, and phones to PCs. Then number 5, subnets. Each department will be accessing 2 subnets, for example, data and voice. Then we're being advised to carry out appropriate subnetting. Alright. Basic settings. Configure basic settings such as host names, console password and name password, banner messages, encrypt all password, and disable IP domain lookup. Alright. Dhcp server. For voice, use respective routers Dhcp server, while for data, use Dhcp server device at the server site. Very interesting. We're told to use a router for voice VLAN, for voice Dhcp, but Dhcp server device for data. Okay. VLANs. Each department will be in 2 VLANs, one for data and another for voice. Note, all IP phones in the network should access VLAN 100. Very important. All IP phones in the network to be in VLAN 100. Okay, meaning we can say finance to be VLAN 20, HR finance VLAN 10, HR VLAN 20, sales VLAN 30, and ICT VLAN 40 for data. But for IP phones, all IP phones in the network to be in VLAN 100. Very important. Okay. Intervalent routing. Use router on a stick to enable intervalent routing on the network. Note, create sub-interfaces for both data and voice VLANs. Very important. Router on a stick. IP addressing. All devices in the network are expected to obtain IP address dynamically from the respective Dhcp servers, while the devices in the server room are to be allocated IP address statically. Remember, in this network we are going to configure router as Dhcp server for voice and Dhcp server device for data. Okay. Routing protocol. Use Ospf as the routing protocol to advertise route on the network. Okay. Remote access. Configure SSH in all the routers for remote login. Very interesting. Number 13, telephone service. Configure voice over IP on the routers and allocate dial numbers in this format for the departments. Finance to be have a format number like this one, meaning it can start from 101 to 199. HR 2.21 to 299. Sales, etc. where 1 can be 192, where 1 dot dot can be 112, 199, and so on. Number 14, routing for voice over IP. Configure dial pairing on the routers to allow IP phones from different routers to communicate. Very important, guys. This is the backbone of this project. Remember, this project is meant for voice over IP networking project, and if they cannot communicate, then this project will fail. So this is the backbone of this project, routing for voice over IP, dial pairing. Then we're going to finalize the project by testing communication and ensuring everything configured is working as expected. Guys, this is a very important project that we are going to undertake. So what you have to do is just to begin. You follow me carefully and be focused. You be patient as I do the configuration so that you can learn better. Okay, all right. So I'll go back to our packet tracer and we begin the descent. And I always have a good practice of handling any problem. I normally write configuration steps to follow in every project. So similarly, I've written a configuration step on this project. So I'll just open the configuration steps. So here are the configuration steps that we're going to follow to handle this project. Step 1, we're going to create the network descent and a little bit of beautification. Then that's step 0, the initial step. Then step 1, we're going to begin the basic settings to all the devices plus SSH on the routers. Then step 2, we're going to create VLANs, then assign the ports roles of access or trunks. Step number 3, we're going to do subnetting and IP addressing. Number 4, we're going to create static IP address to server room devices. Number 5, DHCP server device configurations. Number 6, we're going to configure DHCP for voice. Number 7, we're going to carry out intervalent routing on the routers and IP DHCP help address to enable DHCP broadcast messages to reach DHCP server. Okay. And then number 8, we're going to configure Ospf from the routers. Number 9, we're going to configure voice over IP in all router. Number 10, dial pairing configuration in all routers. And finally, number 10, we're going to verify and test the communication. Guys, let's begin with step 0, network design and beautification. Remember, we've been asked to, let me open the case study. To use Packet Tracer as the software, and we're going to have 4 routers. Remember, each department is to have a router. Okay, and which router? 2811 Cisco router. So let me begin very fast. So to choose the router, you scroll. This is the router that we're going to talk about, 2811 router. Okay, and let me just put it somewhere here. Okay, so I'll go back to the case study. Switches. Each department is to have an access layer switch. Okay, alright. So we're going to use 2960 switch. And then we were told that ICT department will be hosting 2 LANs. Remember, we have ICT department router to have 2 LANs attached, the server side LAN and the ICT department LAN. Okay, so let's say which one can be our ICT LAN here. Let me just choose the first one. So let's say this is our ICT router. Let's do the ICT router. Okay, and this can be our asset department, and this is our server side LAN. Okay, all right. So let's proceed. Connection. Use serial connections between a router and a router, then straight through cable between router to switch, switch to host, and phone to phones. Okay, guys, this is very simple. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to choose serial connection. And today I'm not going to choose a serial with DCE. I've been choosing serial DCE just to show you how we can explore Packet Tracer. Okay, so that you don't have any problem in case you come across a serial DCE cable. Okay, but now today I'm going just to choose a serial DTE. Okay, to make my configuration very fast and without configuring clock rate. And remember, when I try to click on the router, I don't have any serial port. So what I'm just going to do is to enable serial port on the routers. What do? Just click on the router, and then there's a button here. You can see something like a minus, a 0, and a green indicator here. You just click on the 0. Okay, and now you don't see the green indicator, and now you insert a serial model. You just drag this one H. If you click here, you can see that this is a serial high speed, that one. Okay, for 2 serial ports, just drag H WIC-2T. okay, just drag it to an empty port there. Okay, and you turn on the device again. Okay, first you turn off the device, you drag the serial model, then you turn on the device again. I close, then I'll do that to this device very fast to save time. Okay, so that's done. So we can go ahead to configure to connect the devices using a serial cable. Okay. Okay, so let's use straight through cable between the router and the switches. Now I'm just going to choose automatic. Automatic will identify them. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so what we're remaining with is just to connect the IP phones plus the PCs. So I'll do that very fast, guys, to save time. Remember, we want to include how many IP phones here? 20 per department. Okay, 20 per department. Very important. So I'll do that very fast to save time. Okay, guys, so as you can see, I've placed the IP phones on the topology, and I've just limited to 10 IP phones because of space. Okay, but in your case you can just include 20 because we are just going to configure enough parameters for 20 IP phones, so there is no problem. But on my design for space, I've just included 10 IP phones. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just to connect them very fast before we can connect phones. Okay, PCs. Okay, all right. So before I can begin connecting them, I just want to show you the correct IP phone that you should choose. Choose the 7960 IP phone, which is the first one, this one. Okay, so you need to choose that's the 7960 IP phone. So I'll just begin connecting them very fast before I can connect the PC. And then you need to power them on, so just click on the IP phone and drag a power adapter. Okay, so as you can see, I've connected the IP phone. So what I'll do is just to connect the computers. So I'll start from hub. Okay, so as you can see, we've completed the connection. We've connected the IP phone to switches and the computers to the IP phones. As you can see, the computer is connected to IP phone and that IP phone is connected to a switch. Okay, and everything is just looking fine. So I'm just try to minimize that. I mean to zoom out so that you can see it. You have something like a circle. Okay, as you can see now, it's looking a little bit fine. Okay, so what I'll do is just to make it separate the boundaries and specify which department is this one. Okay, alright, so let me do that very fast. I'll start with the hub one. Okay, so what I'll do is just to name the departments. As you can now see, I've indicated the background colors in each department. So just name the departments very fast. For example, I'll say this is finance. And this is security department. And this is server room. And you can say this is HR or sales, whichever, and this is sales. Okay, so we'll go back to our packet. We'll go back to our PDF and start reading what's next. So we've done part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and let's proceed to the config guide. Now, initial step is done, so we proceed to basic settings to all devices plus access and trunk ports. And before I can do that, I want to name these devices. As you can see, they have not been named. So for example, this will be a stereo router, sales, finance, and HR router. I'll do that very fast. Okay, so I've done naming the devices. I've just named the routers and the switches, but for the case of IP phones and the computers, I'm not going to name them, but I'm just going to name the servers. Let's say this Dhcp server, this is email, this is DNS, and this is HTTP. Good. So you can proceed to name the computers and the IP phones, right? Okay, so let's go back to our config guide. Basic settings to all devices plus SSH on the routers. Okay, so when I go back to the PDF, we have to configure host names, console passwords, enable password, banner messages. We need to encrypt all the plain text passwords and disable IP domain lookup. So as my practice, as my culture, I always do configuration on one device, then write the commands on Notepad and copy to all other devices. So let's say I'm starting with this switch here. So click on this switch, come to CLI and enable config T, then host name to be finance switch, then I hit enter. Another thing is enable password to be, we always use Cisco lowercase, okay. Then line console is 0. Then password also will be Cisco lowercase. Then login, authenticate the user, okay. Exit. Another thing here is hostname, console name, person, banner message, okay. We need to write a banner message, banner MOTD, and then we can use these characters. Then inside the characters we can say no unauthorized authorized access, comma, this is punishable by law, okay. Non-authorized access, this is punishable by law. Good. Then another thing, we need to encrypt all the password. Just say service password encryption, just that one. Then finally we need to disable IP domain lookup. No IP domain lookup, and hit enter. Alright, so I've completed the basic settings on this switch. So I'll just write the codes on Notepad and copy to all other switches. Hostname, so hostname, we just write hostname. For example, let's go and configure HR switch, and then after hostname we enable password to be Cisco. Then line console password, line console 0 password to be Cisco. Then you log in the user, you authenticate, then you exit the line interface, okay. Alright, then another thing is banner MOTD. I'll just copy this banner message in all the devices. Banner MOTD, unauthorized access, this is punishable, okay. And we need to encrypt the password, service password encryption. Let me just copy this one, and no IP domain lookup. So with that we shall have finished the basic settings on the switches, and no IP domain lookup, no problem. So just that one, and do right copy. So what I'll just modify is just the host names when I go to each switch. For example, now I'll proceed to HR switch directly, okay. Let me just do right here, okay. So here is our HR switch, here this one. So what I do is enable config T, then I paste. You just click, I have already copied, so I just paste. So everything is just go there. Then we come to cell switch, and just do this. Okay guys, so I've completed the basic settings on the switches. So let's proceed to the routers. So on the routers guys, we said that we should on the config steps plus SSH on the routers. So alongside the basic settings, we should include SSH on the routers. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just paste this commands on the routers and proceed to configure SSH. For example, now this is finance router, and just modify this one, fin route, and I copy, I come here and I paste. Okay, so let's proceed to configure SSH. How do we configure SSH? The first thing that you do is you have to make sure that the device has a host name. Okay. The second thing, create username and password. Username, let's say I'll just use Cisco. Password to be Cisco. Okay. Username Cisco, password Cisco, lowercase. Then the second thing that you need to create a domain name for the device. IP domain name. Let's say Cisco.net. Okay. Then you need to create. You need to generate RSA keys. So we're just going to say crypto key generate RSA. Then let me query general key modulus 1024. Okay, crypto key generate RSS key modulus length to be 1024. Okay, then we hit enter. Alright, and then SSH, let's configure SSH version, SSH IP SSH version to be version 2, right? Okay, so we just configured IP domain name, we configured the username and the password, then we generated the crypto keys using which encryption algorithm RSA. Okay, then we specified the version of SSH. So let's enter line VTY 0 to 15. Okay, then we say login to use the local database, login local. Okay, then let's use SSH as the method of accessing this device remotely. We just say transport input SSH, exit and do right. Guys, we just completed configuring SSH on this device. So what I'll do, I'll just copy the SSH configuration on this notepad so that I can paste on all the other routers to save time. Okay, so the first thing that I said, that you have to make sure that the device has a host name. That's the first thing. Okay, then you create username and password. Okay, you create username and password. After creating username and password, then you specify the domain name that that device. After specifying the domain name, now you can go ahead to create the crypto keys. So this is just a long command. Here is somewhere here, crypto key generator. Let's say general key modulus length to be 1024. Okay, very simple. Just few commands and we are done configuring SSH. And now of this one, now you enter line VTY, just enter line VTY 0 to 15 just a minute, 0 to 15. Then you specify the login, local to use login local database, and transport input SSH. Then you exit the interface and do right. So pretty much simple how to configure SSH. The first thing, create the hostname for the device. We've done here. Okay. The second thing, SSH, you create username and password. We've done here. Then you create IP domain name, cisco.net. Then you generate crypto keys, crypto key generator RSS, general length, modulus 1024. Then you enter line VTY 0 to 15. Use the local database. Then use SSH as the method to remotely access the device. Okay. Alright. So as you can see, we've done on the finance router. So we'll proceed to HR router. So what I'll do, I'll just modify the username, hostname only. And for all the other remaining routers, I'll just do the same. Just modify the hostname and we proceed. Okay guys, so we are done configuring the basic settings plus SSH in all the devices. Okay, so we'll just proceed to see what's next on our config guide. I'll just open the config guide. We need to assign VLANs plus access and trunk ports on the switches. Okay, so what I want to do, I just want to comment something. For example, I'll just allow this one to access VLAN. We say data VLAN, or I'll just use capital data VLAN 10 here. Okay, then voice VLAN. We were told that the voice should access VLAN 100. Okay, alright, so data here VLAN 10, voice VLAN 100. Then when we come to HR, server room will only access VLAN 50 for data, not voice. Okay, alright, so let's proceed to configure VLAN to all the switches. Remember, I always do my configuration on one switch. I copy on I write commands on notepad, copy and paste on all other devices. Okay, so I'll proceed with this switch here. So they need password Cisco, enable Cisco. Alright, so config T. Alright, so let's identify the ports. For example, this one should be trunk. Okay, this port trunk, but all other ports to be access ports, accessing two VLANs 10, 100. So this one is just a minute, FA01. So interface FA01, interface FA01, switch port mod access. Okay, sorry, not access, trunk, switch port mode trunk. Okay, this one should be trunk, this one. Okay, sorry. Okay, alright, so all of the remaining spots to be in access mode. So for example, interface range, remember we're going to have 20 devices connecting to that switch, and we said because of space we've only connected 10 devices, but we are going to configure enough parameters for the 20 devices. So let's configure interface range FA0/2 to 24. Remember, we have 24 ports on a switch for Ethernet. Okay, on these switches. Okay, so this range from 02, because 01 is trunk. Now from 02 to 24, switch port mode access. Okay, then for voice VLAN, for data VLAN first, switch port access VLAN 10. Okay, but the good practice, guys, before I can do this, let me just create the VLAN 10, and I name it data, capital letter. Then VLAN 100, I name it voice, for good practice. Okay, exit. Alright, so we've created the two VLANs on the switch, so we can proceed to assigning VLAN numbers to this range. So interface range that one to that one, switch port mode access, then switch port access VLAN 10 for data. Okay, then switch port voice VLAN 100. Very simple. The first thing that you do, you enter the range, then you make the ports to be access mode. Okay, then let them access voice VLAN, access VLAN 10, I mean data VLAN. Okay, then finally make them access voice VLAN 100. Okay, exit and do right. So when you see the interfaces, do show IP interface brief. Just a minute, let me just do show start. Okay, so you will see that FA0/1 is a trunk port. That's very good. And now from FA0/2 to 24 will be access port. Then we'll be accessing data VLAN 10 and voice VLAN 100. Very simple. Very simple. So let's write the commands on the notepad so that we can copy to all the remaining switches. Okay, and it's just the same, you know, on my format. When I'm connecting the devices, I always ensure that the first interface connects to the router. Now from FA0/2 to FA24 connects to the host devices. So it's just the same configuration that I made there. Say delete this one, and I say interface FA0/1, hit enter, switch port mode, switch port remote access. Okay, sorry, switch port mode trunk, the first interface. Okay, should be trunk. Then we exit the interface, then we say interface range FA0/2 to 24, switch port mode, now access, then switch port access VLAN 20. Let's say this is HR department. Then we say switch port voice VLAN 100. Remember, all the IP phones will be accessing VLAN 100. So for data we say switch port access VLAN 20, but for voice we say switch port voice VLAN. Okay, alright, so we're going to come and do right. Let's copy this to HR department. Before that I need to create the VLANs. So I made a little bit of mistake here. I should have created VLANs first. So let's say VLAN 20 now. name to be data, okay, then VLAN 100 always remain to be name to be voice. So everything is set. The first thing, you get the two VLANs, VLAN 20 and 100, and name them. Then you specify which port is trunk, and you assign the VLAN numbers to the range. Okay. So I copy. I come to HR switch, which is to VLAN 20. I don't want to put password, so I'll just come here and I exit and I paste. So guys, I'll just proceed to this switch and configure VLAN 30 for data, and so on and so forth. So I'll just go very fast to save time. Okay, so I'm done configuring both the data and voice VLAN to the 4 switches, but I've not done this one because you know, we only have 4 devices. We are not going to configure IP phones here, so I just want to make this one to be trunk and this one to be accessing VLAN 50. So I'll just do that very fast. I'll just open this one, and I delete that voice VLAN, and now this is VLAN 50, as you can see there, to be data. FA051 should be trunk, but now it's FA022. Let me see. To 5, FA0/2 to 5, FA0/2 to 5. Switch port mode access. I delete this one. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 50. Okay, for data. So I copy all of them and I paste. Let me verify. Okay, everything's good. So I come here, exit, I paste. Okay. Alright, so guys, we've configured the basic settings, VLANs, and assigned the roles ports of access and trunks. So let's go back to our configure to see what's next. So step 3 requires us to do subnetting and IP addressing, and to save time, you know, subnetting takes a lot of time. So I already done it on my free time so that I can just proceed. And you can remember I've done several videos explaining basic concept of subnetting. So I'll proceed to the tables. So these are our subnetting tables. This is IP addressing table. For example, you see, for PCs and printers. Remember, we forgot to put printers on the network, but I'll just do them very fast. Okay, let me do them very fast to save time. Okay, so we will place the printer on the network on each LAN. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, as you can see, we were given a base network of this one for data, and as power subnetting, I mean, this was the result. For example, finance department will be having this network address, this separate mask, and start IP address and the broadcast IP address. Okay, and so on and so forth. Now, under IP phones, we were told to use this network for IP phones. Okay, and as you can see, I have done subnetting here for finance there, this one and this one. And now finally we were told to use 10.10.10 between the routers. and I've just done as you can see here. So what I'll do, I'll just comment these networks on the topology so that we can proceed to assign interfaces these networks. For example, finance department will be accessing this network for data and this network for voice. So I go very fast to save time. So I'll do it very fast, very fast. Okay guys, so as you can see, I've completed commenting on the networks as per the LAN, and you can see I've placed both network for data and voice. Okay, but now on the server room, just one network for data. Okay, which is having a subnet mask of /29 notation because we only had 4 devices, right? Okay. So let me just specify the networks between the routers. So I'll do it very fast to save time. Okay, so that's done. So I've just completed that, and now what we'll do, let's go back to configure it so that we can see what's next. Subnetting and IP addressing. So we've not done IP addressing, we've just done subnetting and the comments. So IP addressing basically means we'll just assign this router's interfaces IP address. Okay, alright, so let's do that very fast. For example, this one, I'll just assign interfaces between the routers first before I can assign an interface between the router and the LAN. So let's proceed to assign IP addresses between these 4 routers. This one. Okay, very simple. So just serial interfaces. For example, this is serial. Before that, let me turn on these interfaces once and for all. I'll do that. Then we'll come to serial. Okay, so I've turned on all the interfaces, so we can proceed to configure IP address to the interfaces between the routers as per now. This is serial 030. Okay, so just now let me do this one very fast so that I can save time. Come to options, preferences, and always show port labels. Okay. Alright, so this is serial 030, sign 10.10.10. Okay, so I come to serial 030, then we assign IP address 10.10.10.1. okay, and IP address should be 255.255.255.252/30 notation. Okay. Alright, now let's proceed to 031. We should take .5 because it starts from, the network is .4. Okay, so 031, we should take .5, exit, and do that. So we go to this router here. Now 031 should take .2 because this one took .1. So 031, start with 031 IP address 10.10.10.2 sorry mask of 255.255.255.252. Okay, and now 30 is this one, should take .9. Okay, and 30 should take .9. Exit and do that. Okay, let's go to this switch here, I mean this router here. This is 3, just a minute. So this is the 3.1, this is 3.0. So 3.0 should take .10 because this one took .9. 3.0, good. IP address 10.10.10.10 255.255.252. Okay, 3.1 should take 031 should take .13 because network is .12. Exit and do right. So finally let's go to this switch and configure IP address, meaning here should take .6 because here took .5. Remember this is the network, and here should take .14 because here took .13. Okay, so 30 should take 10.10.6. 30 IP address 10.10.10.6. okay, 255.255.252. Then 3.1 should take .14. okay, so I should take .14. good. Exit and do right. Okay, so guys, basically remember we've assigned IP address to only the interfaces that are attaching between the routers, but not the interface between a router and the LAN. Why? Because when I will be configuring intervalent routing, I'll be creating sub interfaces, and I don't want to create sub interfaces now. So let's do that in the next step. And the next step basically is to configure IP addresses to server room devices. Okay, alright, so we proceed to configure static IP address to server room devices. That's step 4. Very simple. Okay, so let's do that very fast. So I'll scroll up. Here are the server room devices, and this is our Dhcp, email, HTTP, and finally we have a DNS server there. So this LAN here is accessing this network, right? And we have how many usable addresses here? /29 notation is equivalent to 255.255.248, meaning we have only 6 usable IP addresses. Okay, alright, so basically we will assume the router's interface will take the first usable IP address, which will be .129. okay, and I'll just give .130, 130, 131, 132, 133. okay, so let's do it very fast to save time, and you must make sure that the default gateway is the IP address of this router's interface. And remember, we've not configured that interface. We will configure that interface when we are going to configure intervalent routing, because we have VLANs here. Okay, so let's assume we have configured this interface and assign it as the default gateway to this LAN here. Okay, so let me start with the Dhcp. So I'll demonstrate with the Dhcp, and for the remaining one I'll go very fast, save time. So let's say it's 192.168.100.130, because 129 will be taken by the default gateway, which is the interface of this router here. Okay, this is the network. Okay, and subnet mask is 255.255.248/29 notation. And now the default gateway should be 129. Okay, and I want DNS server to be, let's say, 131. Okay, 131. DNS server will be 131. Okay, so I'm going to send DNS server IP address of 131 just right now. So here is our DNS server. Okay, come to there, and that's the IP address, and subnet mask 248, and default gateway is 129. Okay, so for the remaining one, let's say this is 132, 133. I'll do it very fast, save time. Okay, so we've done assigning IP address to the server room devices. So I'll just open the config guide to see what's next. Okay, so on our config guide, step 5, we're going to configure Dhcp server device configuration. Remember, we have how many departments here that should be allocated IP addresses dynamically? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to create how many pools? 4 pools. So click on the server, then you come to services, and you come to Dhcp. The first thing you might do is turn it on, then you just try to edit it, and let's say this is finance pool, fin pool, and let's check on the network of finance. We only create a pool for data, okay, on this Dhcp server device, but pool for VLAN, but pool for voice will be creating at the routers level, okay, on the routers. So let's do that very fast for finance department. So for finance department, the first pool, the default gateway should be 192.168.100.1, because this is the IP address, as you can see here. This one, this is the network, okay, and DNS server, we've said that it should be that one, right? And now the starting IP address should be let's say dot 2, no problem. Dot 2, no problem, not a problem. And subnet mask of this pool should be /27 notation, which is equivalent to 224. Okay, all right. So what to do? We just add, and let me confirm. Not 7 devices, but let's say it's 30. 7. Okay, good. Okay, so that's finance pool. Then we go to HR pool. Okay, HR here, you can see here. Okay, so when you go to HR pool, you just try to modify this finance pool. You just say HR, okay, and the network should start from, for data, 100.33. DNS server will remain the same. Then let's say start assigning from 34, and this will remain 30, and you add, you don't save. You save only when you're editing, but not when you're adding a new pool. When you're creating a new pool, just create add. Okay, so everything is working, I think. Okay, good. So let's create another pool that is called sales pool. So sales pool should start from 65. Default gateway should be, let me check, HR pool is 33. Good. So sales pool should be, default gateway should be 65. Okay, and this one will remain this one, and start IP address, let's say 66, give it from 66. Started mask will remain the same, okay? And you do what? You add. Sorry, I've not said here. It says cell pool, okay? And you add. So we have how many pools? You have to be very careful when you're creating pools. You have to make sure that the default gateway is correct and the start IP address, okay? And finally, the subnet mask. Okay? So finally, let's configure IP address. DHCP server for. Create pool for associated department. So I click, and what I do, I just modify here as ICT, and the pool should have a start IP address of 97. You can see here is 97. Okay, that's default gateway. Default gateway should be 97, and then the DNS remains the same. Start IP address, let's say from 98. Everything remains the same, and you add. So guys, we've created how many pools? 4 pools for ICT, sales, HR, and finance. So what's next? Step 6: configure DHCP for voice. So this is where things are getting more interesting. We're going to start doing VoIP configuration. So as my culture, I do configuration on one device, write commands on Notepad, and copy in all other devices. And what do? You be very careful. I click on this router. Let me start with the finance router. We configure DHCP for voice. Remember, we configured DHCP for data. Now let's do DHCP for voice here. This was for data, okay, and now this is for voice, okay. Alright, so CLI, I don't want to put password, so I come to config any interface, okay, then exit. Alright, how do you create DHCP pools? The first thing I will do, we just enable that service DHCP. Then let's exclude IP address that we don't want this router to assign to any host device. IP DHCP excluded address to be 192.168.100.1. This one will be default gateway. So we don't want this router to assign any host device the IP address of the default gateway. Okay, but if you want to even arrange, you can say, okay, you can specify there, okay. Alright, so let's create pool IP DHCP pool finance, let's say fin voice, okay. Alright, so network to be 192. Sorry, now for, I think I made error here. This is not a network for voice, so I will modify. Just give me some time. Exit. So I'll just modify this. The first thing I'll do is just to say no to this command, to remove this command. Then I'll repeat that command using the correct IP address. So the correct IP address for voice is this one: 172.16.100.1. so that will be the default gateway of that LAN, okay. So this one should not be assigned to any host address, okay, host device, okay. Now let's proceed. IP DHCP pool fin voice, okay. Then we create network to be 172.16.100.0, okay. Then subnet mask to be 255.255.254/27 notation here, okay. Alright, so we hit enter. Then default route to be 172.168.100.1, .16.100.1, the excluded IP address. Okay, that will be the IP address of the router's sub interface that we will create when we are doing intervalent routing. Okay, then for voice, guys, there's always a concept of option 150. Option 150, then IP to be the IP address of the gateway, okay, of the default gateway, right? And hit enter. Sorry, I delete that one, and I hit enter, exit, and do right. So do show start. Good. So it's here. Okay. So guys, basically I'll just copy this command to all other routers. Okay. So when I copy that, I come to Notepad. And I paste. What I do, you just this one so that they start from the beginning, all of them. Okay. All right. And this one also IP Dhcp, excluded IP address. You copy it, then we paste it to let it make it the first one. Okay, so the first command, guys, let me explain. The first command, guys, you have to exclude the range of IP address that you don't want that router to auto assign host addresses. Then you create IP Dhcp pool. For example, this was finance voice pool. Then you use the network. For example, for finance, this was the network plus subnet mask and the default router, and most importantly, option 150. Okay. All right. So do right. So let's go to HR department. So what I do, I change this to HR voice. Okay, then the network will change to, let's see here, 16.100.32. so here will be 32. Okay, then now this default router will be 33. Okay, 33. Here also will be 33. Very simple. We copy all of this and paste to this router here. Exit, do right. Okay, you exit, then you do right. So I'll just say exit here, exit. Okay, so we're done for HR router. Let's go to sales router. What I do very fast to save time. Okay, so guys, basically we've configured Dhcp for voice over IP. Okay, and now let's see what's next so that we can proceed. Intervalent routing on the routers plus IP Dhcp servers. Okay, so guys, basically we were told to use router on a stick, and that's why we are highlighted this type, intervalent routing on the routers. So for example, on this router here, we are going to create two sub interfaces, one for data and one for voice. Same for this one, and this one. These interfaces that are connected to LAN. So I will start with this router here. Okay, and we see this is FA0/0, and when you see here, guys, we had VLAN 10 and VLAN 100. So what I'm going to do, we are going to create those sub interfaces. Exit. So FA0/0, how do we create a sub interface? You say interface FA0/0. You see which interface is connecting to the LAN. this one. Okay, so it's FA0/0. Then the VLAN number. For data, it should be .10. Okay. Okay. Then after that one, you give encapsulation encapsulation.1q the VLAN number 10. Okay. Then you give that a kind of IP address. You give IP address that will be acting as the default router, default gateway. So IP address to be 192.168.100.1. okay, because of this network. Okay, separate mask of 255.255.255.224. Hit enter and you exit. Now let's create a sub interface for voice. You let me press arrow up. So .100 interface FA0/0.100 for voice VLAN 100. Hit enter and encapsulation .1q 100 the VLAN number. Then the IP address should be will be 172.16.1. okay, don't forget, very simple, the default router. Hit enter and exit. And guys, here under the config steps we were told to configure IP DHCP helper addresses. Guys, remember we've configured this device here as our DHCP server, and for these devices to obtain IP address from this server, then they should be assisted. Okay, when they forward the broadcast messages, DHCP discover message, then this router should know that I should direct that DHCP discover message to this device. Okay, so let's proceed to this interface for data. Now we don't touch for VLAN. Okay, you just say IP helper IP DHCP, IP helper address to be the IP address of this server here. Okay, so the IP address of the server is this one. I copy and I paste and hit enter, exit and do it. So you go to each interface that is corresponding to the data VLAN, then you configure IP helper address, IP DHCP helper address. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's do that on Notepad so that we can move very fast. So we proceed to which router? This router here. So what I do, I just open this one and see which interface is connecting to this LAN from the router. It is FA00. So what I do, I just say interface FA0/0, then dot 20, the VLAN number. Okay, .20. Okay, then we say encapsulation. Just be careful with your English. .1q20, the VLAN ID. Okay, encapsulation, good. Then we send IP address to be 192.168.100.33. A separate mask of 255.255.255.224. okay, for data. And let's not forget IP DHCP helper address that we've just configured here. Okay, this one, IP DHCP helper address. Sorry, copy, good. then I come to and I paste. So IP helper address to this IP address. Okay, then exit. Alright, so let's create a sub interface for voice. So I'll just copy until here. Voice doesn't need IP Dhcp helper address because the router is acting as the Dhcp sub. Okay, alright, so it's interface this one dot 100. The voice is always 100. Okay, in this topology I mean. Okay, and the network should be 172.16.100.33. very good. So just change this one to 172, then this one to 16.100.33. guys, this one is good. So you just have to be very careful so that you don't receive any error. Okay, so I believe I have demonstrated on the 2 devices, and now for the remaining 2 devices I'll do it very fast to save time. Okay, so I paste. Okay, so finally let's configure intervalent routing for server room. Okay, for server side. So here we are going to use this interface, which is a phase 01. Okay, so I'll just go here and I delete this one. Here we don't need the voice, so it's a VLAN 50 encapsulation.1q50, and now the IP address will be .129.129, and subnet mask will be /29 notation, which is 248, and it doesn't need IP Dhcp helper address. Okay, because we've configured static IP address there. Okay, alright, so I copy this. I think that's fine. Sorry guys, this interface is FA01. So when I go here, I change this one to FA01.50. Don't get confused, guys, because of interfaces. And I just paste there, and that's done. Do right. Okay. Alright guys, so let's see what's next. Configure Ospf on the routers. Very simple, guys. For Ospf I'll just do for one device, and for other device I do very fast to save time. Ospf is a very simple routing protocol that we've been configuring. So let's start with this this router that is connecting to many networks. So this router here is connecting to how many networks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, 5 networks. So let's go very fast. The first thing, router Ospf, process ID of 10, then network of let's say network there we have let me just give this one for 10.10.10.4.10.10. okay, no problem. 10.10.10.4 subnet mask of now here we use wildcard mask 0.0.0.3. okay, area 0, backbone area. Okay, and you hit enter. Then another network is .12. Okay, and another network here is now these networks, the one that are connected to the LANs. I've just concluded this one and this one, 4 and 12. Okay, now let's do this one and this one. So here we have another network is network to be 192.168.100. This one is 128. and the wildcard mask of 0.0.0.7, because 248/29, 255 minus 248 is 7, area 0. Then we have two networks here. This one and this one. So another network is 192.168.96, and the wildcard mask, the subnet mask is /27. /27 is equivalent to wildcard mask of .31. And now another one is 172. It's 172.16.96. Okay. Then this wildcard mask, area 31. Hit enter, exit, and do right. Guys, we completed Ospf on this router here. You remember this router is one of the routers that was connected to many networks, and we've completed. So let's move to this router here and do it very fast. I'll do it on Notepad to save time. Router Ospf 10, then network. The first network is this one, which is 10.10.10.4. Wildcard mask of 0.0.0.3, area 0. Then we copy this one. Another network is you can see here is 10.10.0, so we change this one to 0. Okay, so we have two networks on this side, this and this one. So Notepad, another network should be in that one, so we change this one to 192.168.100.0, a wildcard mask of 0.0.0.31.224. okay, and then we copy this one and we change it to 172.16. okay, so guys, I'll do it very fast, save time. I'll just copy this one to this router and do for the other remaining routers very fast, save time. Okay, all right. Okay guys, so we've completed configuring Ospf on the routers. So let's see what's next. So I'll open the config guide. So as you can see, the next step is to configure voice over IP in all the routers. Guys, as you can see, we've configured step 0 up to step 8. Okay, and what I'll do, guys, before I can configure VoIP, I'll just try to check if the IP phones have picked IP addresses automatically before we can configure VoIP. Okay, so I'll move over the IP phone, and that has not picked. And what about this one? This one has picked, and as you can see, it has picked for VLAN 100. You can see it's 172.16.100, that one, and I'll randomly pick this one also. You can see it has picked. This one will pick. It's just a matter of time. As you can see now, it has picked. Okay, then I come up on these IP phones also. As you can see, they have picked. Okay, all right. This one also. This one has not picked, but it will pick. It's just a matter of time. Let me choose another one randomly. You can see that has picked. Okay, and on the HR department, also, I think they have picked. Let me choose randomly. That has picked randomly. This has picked. And what about the PCs? Remember, I have enabled Dhcp on the PCs, so I'll just try to choose randomly. You see, it has picked. Everything is working correctly. Randomly again, it has picked, and randomly on this side, it has picked. On this side it has picked, and finally on this side also it has picked. So everything is working so far correctly as expected. So what I'll do basically is to configure VoIP on the routers. Guys, my culture, I do configuration on one device, I write commands on notepad and copy on all other routers. Okay, you be careful and be attentive. So let me start on this router. Don't worry about this one. This one is a result of IP address allocation to the IP phones. Okay, alright. So what I'll do is it. So what I'll do, I'll just say, how do we configure telephony service or voice over IP? As our step 9, configure VoIP in all the routers. The first step is just to enable that service telephony, not that telephony service. Hit enter. Okay, then you specify the maximum directory numbers that should be allocated to your IP phones. If you have 20, you just give 20. Okay, if you have 10 IP phones, just give 10 IP phones. But we said in our network we should configure for 20 IP phones. Okay, maximum directory numbers, then you give the maximum number of IP phones. Okay, 20. Okay, then you give IP source address to be the IP address of the default gateway of VLAN 100 on the finance department. Okay, as you can remember, the default gateway of VLAN 100 on this department was 172.16.1.1. okay, for VoIP, for voice. Okay, on this department the default gateway will be .65. okay, on this department default gateway for voice will be .33, the one that we just configured right here. They are there. Okay, you just have to be very careful, don't miss anything. Okay, IP source address, let me just copy this one. I copy and I paste and I change that one to 1. Okay, and you say port 2000. Okay, and you hit enter. Then you just say auto assign from 1 to 20. Very simple, guys, and you just done. Exit. Okay, now let's assign each IP phone a line number. We've just configured a telephone service. Now we have to assign them a line number. Very simple. We just say ephone directory number 1. Okay, then let's assign it number to be, we were told, let me open the case study. We were told somewhere here the IP finance department to have this format, 1 ... meaning it should be 101. The first one should take 101. Okay, then directory number 2, the second one should take 102. Okay, until the 10th one. Okay, because as per now we have only 10 here. So what I'll do, I'll just do this on notepad and copy very fast. I'll do that, and I open notepad and do that, and let's say number 101, then copy. Okay guys, so as you can see, I've written the directory numbers, line numbers for each phone. Each phone dial number 1 should have this number. If phone directory number 2 should have this line number, etc until number 10. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just copy this one to this IP phone. As you can see, 2 of them have been registered because we've just allocated the line number for only 2 here, so I'll just paste. Okay, exit and do right. Okay, so guys, basically it's very simple, very simple. Okay, so I won't delete this one, I won't delete this one. So let's start configuring VoIP on this router here for this LAN. Okay, I write commands on Notepad. The first thing, guys, you just use to, you enable that service, telephony. Just be very careful with your English. Telephony service. Okay, then you specify maximum directory number, max DN to be 20. Okay, max ePhones to be 20. Okay, then what do you do next? You give the IP source. I'll just copy what I just wrote on the first router. Guys, as you can see, several phones have been registered here, and that's a success. So let me just copy the command that I wrote earlier. I just want to copy this one to the notepad. Okay, IP source, that one, and now you give the default gateway of that LAN for voice. Remember, the default gateway of this LAN for voice is 172.16.100.33. okay, very simple, very simple. Just have to be very careful. Okay, then you say auto assign from 1 to 20. Very simple. And you exit the telephony service. Now you start assigning ePhones numbers, and remember, this is HR department. HR department should start from 2 to 1. I do it very fast. 202, 203 until 210. Okay. Okay, so I have written each IP phone with a line number. Okay, and this is just a simple command to configure VoIP. The first one, telephony service. Then you specify maximum number of maximum directory numbers, then maximum number of IP phones that you want to include in your network, and the IP source to be the default gateway of that particular voice LAN. Okay, then don't forget port 2000. Okay, I would assign 1 to 20 because we had only 20 devices, but in our topology I had only 10, so you can include until 10. For example, if on directory number 19 to 19, etc. I copy and paste to this router here. So what I do, come here, okay, so I think everything is good. Do right here also. Okay, so for the remaining two routers, guys, I believe you've caught the pace. I'll just hurry so that I beat the time. Okay, so I'll move to this router here. Okay guys, so I'm done, and I'll try to check if the IP phones have been allocated line numbers. So I'll start from the finance department. So if I randomly choose IP phone, let's say this one, you can see it has taken a line number of below the default gateway 101. This one 102. What about this one? 109. This one 108. What about this one? 105. Good. And this one 106. Good. So if I go to HR department, and try to see if the IP phones have picked line numbers. So this one is 201, this one is 206, this one is 210, that one is 202, right? Just randomly. And what about sales department? Randomly 310, and that's 303, this is 308, and that one is 304, this one 309. Good. And finally, let's test ICT department. This one is 346, 48, randomly 44, 410, and finally 43. Guys, as you can see, the pattern is the pattern is the same as is indicated in the case study, that finance department should have a pattern of 1 dot dot, HR 2 dot dot, sales 3 dot dot, and finally ICT 4 dot dot. And that's what we've just implemented right now. And guys, basically from now on, there's something very, very important that I want to do. I want to test our communication. Sorry. I want to test our communication because I know the next step is the final step of dial pairing. I want to ensure that everything we've configured is working successfully before we can configure dial pairing. Okay, so let's start with the PCs. Let's assume this PC 8, it has an IP address of 100.11. okay, so I'll try to ping it from this PC here, which is having a IP address of, let's say this one, 100.14. so I'm going to try to ping 100.111, ping 192.168.100.111. okay, so let's just give it time. I believe it will ping because we've configured Ospf and we've correctly configured IP addresses plus the default gateways. Okay, so as you can see, it's pinging. Alright, so let me try to ping another PC on this on sales department 67. Just give it time, it will ping. Everything is working perfectly fine. So the next thing that I'm going to test is SSH on the routers. Okay, that's good. And finally, let me test this department, HR department. Let me test this PC, which is having 46. So I'm going to test 46 here. 46, good. So let's just give it time so that we can test SSH. Guys, everything is working. SPF is working correctly in our topology. Now guys, I want to log into this router here remotely from this PC. Remember, this is PC30. So on this PC30, I want to log into this router, sales router, remotely. So I'm going to use IP address of any sub-interface on this router. Okay, so let me just hover over it. Let me use 10.10.10.10. okay, to remotely log into this router here from this PC. Remember, this is sales router, this is sales router. Okay, sales router. We want to log in from this PC remotely without connecting to any cable. Okay, so I just go to desktop from PC30, command, then you say SSH space, then -L. Okay, then you give the username that we configured while we were configuring SSH. We said we use both password and username as Cisco. Then you use and now you indicate the IP address that we are going to use, 10.10.10.10, and you hit enter. And now password was Cisco, As you can see, guys, we had a banner message: no unauthorized access, this is punishable by law. Sales router, okay, from PC30. Very interesting, man. So enable, and Cisco again. And now, guys, we can do anything. Show start. You can see. Alright, guys, so I think everything is working. And now finally what I'm going to test here is IP phones, if they can communicate with each other. Very important, very important. So I'm going to test if this IP phone can communicate with this IP phone, and if either of these IP phones can communicate outside this LAN. Okay, so this is 109 and this is let me just use this one and this one, either of them. So I'm just going to call randomly because we can, the IP phones have picked numbers from 101 to 110. So this is 109. Okay, so I'm just going to call from 101 and call. You can see it's ringing out and you can hear the sound. And if you can check where 101 is, if I can check where 101 is, here is 101. If I go to BTU high, you will see it's ringing from 109, and you can pick up and it's connected. Then you hang up. Alright, so let's try call any random number, even 106. You see everything is working. Okay, alright, so as per now I've just tested the IP phones within that LAN, but now let's try to ping outside, call IP phones outside the LAN. I'll start with this one. I'll start with any random number here, 21, from any of these PCs, even this one, any of these IP phones. You call 201. You see, unknown number. I hang up. I call 305, unknown number. Then 45, even 49, no problem, unknown number. Why? Because this router here doesn't know that there are other IP phones having some pattern of line number. So that's the concept of dial pairing. Dial pairing. So guys, we want to configure dial pairing on this router so that this router here can know that there are IP phones with a line number of pattern 2.3.4. Very important. And this is where we need some attention, because there are things that should be similar here. Okay, when we configure one on the one router, then it should be similar on the other router. You be very careful. Dial pairing. Okay, so we'll start with this router here. Okay, to make it this router that there are other IP phones in the topology having different line numbers. Okay, so let's click on this router, and then what to do, guys, you just say we want to dial pair. Okay, we want to dial firstly, let's dial pair it with this router here, then this router, then finally this router. Okay, when you are dial pairing, there's a concept of you have to match numbers. For example, we can just say dial pair group 4 for this one, group 3 for this one, group 2 for this one. Okay, so when you're configuring dial pairing from this one to this one, then the group should match. Very important. Very important. Be very careful here. This is where most of you go wrong. So I'll click. Firstly, let's try to do it. I'll do it. Firstly, let's pair it to this router here, which is a HR router. Okay. So I click on this one, and I'll say dial pair for voice. Okay. Then let's say a group number 1. Okay. A group number 1 for voice over IP. Then you hit enter. After hitting enter, then you say destination pattern to be the pattern of this LAN here. The pattern was let me see, to 1. It's 2 dot. Okay, just see 2 dot. The 2 dots come from 21 to 299. Very simple, guys. Okay. Then what do? Just say session target to be IPv4, then colon, you give the IP address of this interface. Okay, so this was you give the IP address of any of interface of this router. Okay, so let's use this interface here. Okay, which will be 10.10.10.10.2. let's say 10.10.10.2. hit enter, exit. So I have just configured one-way peering to this router, so this router should reciprocate so that they can peer. Okay, alright. Now let me configure another peering to this router and finally to this router. Remember the first one took group 1. Okay, we're just going to follow the same steps. So what do? This now for group 2, which will connect to ICT router. There will be a voice group 2. Okay, then destination pattern should be ICT, as you can see it, so it was 4 dot. Okay, let me just click over any IP phone. It's 4 dot. Okay, so just say destination pattern to be 4 dot. Okay, very simple. Then session target IPv4 address to be IP address of any interface of this router. Okay, but you can just use the connecting one, the one that's directly connected to this one. Okay? For example, this one, which was 10.6. very simple, 10.6, and hit enter, exit. And finally, let's go to group 3, which will configure one-way peering to sales router. So we're going to we'll just go to each individual router to configure dual peering. So this is for group 3. Group 3 will connect to sales router, which is having a destination pattern as 3 dot. Okay, and session target IPv4 address should be any IP address of this interface of this router. I mean, so let's use 10.10.10.10. Okay, any. Okay, or you can just use the one that's connected to that LAN. In case it's far away, you can use any IP address, but in my case, I'll just use 10.10.10.10. Okay, no problem. Okay, exit and do right. So guys, I'm done configuring dual peering on this router. So I'll just go to individual router and do it very carefully. Okay, all right. So I close this one and go to this router. Okay, so I click. exit. So dial P for voice, group 1, okay, for VoIP, and then session destination pattern, destination pattern to be 1 dot okay, for this one. Remember, for group 1 was connecting this router to this router, group 2 was connecting this router to this router, group 3 was connecting this router to this router. Okay, we are going to have several groups here. Okay, but don't worry, you're going to understand them. Alright, so just say session target to be IPv4 colon IP address of this router's interface. Let's say it's 10.10.10.1, 10.10.10.1. hit enter, exit. Then let's remember, we've configured group 1, 2, 3 on this router, so we have to configure different group on this router to connect to other routers. So for example, remember we configure from group 1 to group 3, so this is group 4. Group 4 will connect this router to this router, then group 5 will connect this router to this router. Very important, very important. Okay, group 4 done here. Then let's say destination pattern to be this is here is 3 dot dot, okay, and session target IP address of that router's interface to be, let's say this is 10.10.10, 10.10.10.10, okay, exit. Then there will be a group 5. You just have to be very careful, guys. Here, just follow what I'm doing, okay. But then destination pattern to be 4 dot dot, then IP address group 5 should connect this router to this router, okay. Alright, and then destination pattern should be any IP address in this router, which is can be 10.10.6 or 10.10.14. Let me use .6 or .14, okay, exit. So in each router, remember, you have to connect, you have to pair them to 3 routers, okay, each of them. Alright, so let's go to this router. I'm doing it very carefully so that all of us can understand. Exit. Dial pair for voice, group 1. Sorry. We have to go to this router here and check which group was connecting to that router. Which group was connecting to this one, which is to this router here, sales router. Sales router is having an IP address of 3 dot dot, so it was group 3, okay. So when I click here, I say group 3 for voice IP. Then destination pattern to be 1 dot dot, okay. You have to be they have to match. They should match. Okay. For group 3, destination was 3 dot dot, and 3 dot dot was our sales department. As you can see, if I hover, you can see it's 309. Okay, they should match. Okay, then you say session target to be IPv4 colon IP address of any of any interface of this router, 10.10.10.1, 10.10.10.1. hit enter, exit. Then let's check which group was connecting this router to this router. Session target 3.3 session, destination pattern to be 3.3. It was group 4. Group 4 was connecting HR router to sales router. Okay, good. So I go to group 4. Group 4, destination pattern should be now destination pattern here. Okay, 2 dot 2 dot dot 2 dot dot. Good. Then session target, IP address of any interface of this router. Let's say 10.9. 10.9. Okay, exit. And finally, let's create another group that's connecting this router to this router. So we should create another group that is connecting this router to this router here. Remember, we created groups to connect this router to this router to this router to this router, and this router to this router, this router to this router, and this router to this router, but not this router to this router. That's called group 5. Group 5. Okay, and destination pattern should be 4 dot dot. Then session target IP4 should be IP address of this of any interface .6. Let's say dot 14 or dot 6 dot 14. Okay, all right, exit. So we created how many groups? 1 2 3. Good. So let's go to this router and merge all of them. How many groups? Group 1, another group here. For example, go to this router and check which group was connecting to this one, okay, to this to ICT router. ICT router has a pattern of 4 dot dot. So I'll go to finance router first and see which group was connecting to 4 dot dot. It was group 2. Okay, so I go to ICT router, then type here for voice group 2 for Voip. Okay, then destination pattern to be 1 dot dot. Group 2 was connecting finance router to HR out. Okay, then session target IPv4 to be IP address of any interface of this router, which is 10.10.10.54.1. so let's say 10.10.10.5. okay, hit enter, exit. So let's complete the pairing between this router to this router. Remember, it was group 5 that was connecting sales router to HR router. Let's finish that first. Okay, before we can connect it to HR router, session pattern to be 3 dot dot, and session target to be IP address of this dot 13 exit. And finally, let's connect this router, finish the pairing between this router and this router. Which group was it? I'll go to this router and see which it was group 5. okay, but which group was this? Sorry, I created group 5 2 times. But I have already paired this router to this router. So what I'll do, I'll just modify this group 5 on this side to be group 6. I'll say this one. I'll remove that group 5 first and replace it with the group 6. Replace this with the group 6. Okay, then destination pattern to be that way. and session target to be the same. Exit and do right. So when I go to ICT router, I now include group 6 instead of group 5, which was pairing sales and ICT. So this is ICT, I mean group 6, and destination pattern to be 222, and session target to be IP address of this router's interface, either of them. Let's say 10.10.9. Exit and do right. So guys, basically I've completed configuring gel pairing on all the routers. I didn't write codes on the notepad because there was a little bit of confusion, so you had to follow and pick up very fast. Okay, and now basically what I'll do is to test the communication, test if phones at the finance department can call all the phones in the network. For example, let me start with this phone. I'll try to call to 0202. You see, it's now calling. This is 109 is calling 202. Okay, I hang up. Let me call 309. It's calling, man. It's calling. 101 calling 309. Initially it couldn't because we did configure dial pairing. Now it's calling successfully. Then let's try to call 40, even 406. Guys, everything is working as expected, guys. And I believe even if I go to this IP phone, which is in sales, and I come to GUI and try to call 107, it's calling. Call 204 randomly. It's calling, and I call 402 just randomly. It's calling. Guys, everything is working perfectly fine as indicated here. Test, verify, and ensure everything is working as expected. Guys, basically I think we've completed this project and everything is working as expected. And suppose you need this file, suppose you need the PDF, basically you need to join our channel. And for the hard work, please don't pass without subscribing. Share with students because they also, that they can gain the knowledge also. This is a very important project. The voice over IP configuration is a very important project. Okay, because in every enterprise networking project you should include IP phones. Okay, so as now from now henceforth, I mean, we'll be including IP phones in our enterprise networking project. So what I'll do, I'll just make this topology look beautiful through painting and upload this video on YouTube. Bye, and thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe. If possible, please join to my channel so that you can support me further. See you again in the 9th enterprise networking project. Thank you. I love you all. Bye.